Hey Chase, how's it going?
Hey, good. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. Thanks for the time today. And is this your first time on live?
Yeah, I think so.
Awesome, it's my honor. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
hmm So I just have to ask right off the bat, how's everything going at Upstate Karate right now?
Yeah, I'm having a good time training with Stephen Thompson and his team and all that. And yeah, everybody here is super cool to train with, which is always good. That's kind of the thing going to other gyms is you never really know until you get there, like whether the people are going to be cool to train with or not. But yeah, everybody's been super cool and super helpful with all the training, and I'm having a good time.
Awesome. I know that you're leaving on the 30th, or that's one of your last days. When did you actually get to Upstate Karate?
Yeah, I flew down here on like the 11th, so a good like 3 week trip pretty much, and yeah, making the most of it.
Awesome, great to hear. And I have to ask, how did you get into contact with Wonderboy?
Honestly, I kind of wanted to train with him for a while. When I was training with Ryan Hall, he said that Wonderboy was great to train with. So I kind of had that up on my list of people that I wanted to, cross train with at some point. And then it just kind of, after the last fight, I was like, okay, now my schedule's clear. I can kind of do stuff a little more openly like that. So I just kind of hit him up. I was like, hey, do you think I could come out and train? And he said, sure. And that's about it.
And did you guys go on Twitch earlier this week, or like I saw something like an ad? Did you guys go on Twitch?
Yeah, we streamed on Twitch. He's got a pretty sweet setup down here, and now I'm just trying to convince my lady to let me buy a PC so I can start streaming myself. But yeah, I'm having a good time down here. Gonna stream some more this week probably. We'll see.
What's your favorite game to stream on there?
We streamed Warzone the other time, which is good. When you have friends to play with. Yeah, I'm having fun with it, and it's something besides just sitting in a hotel room all day.
Gotcha. And I spoke to Ray the other day, and he said he had like nothing but respect for you. He said that you never had excuses, and you would always show up to train. What can you say about him as a coach, and what do you like about his coaching style?
He's got more of like the I don't know, a little. I wouldn't want to say like a harsher style of coaching, but he's definitely one of those people that kind of demands respect, and it just kind of I like the way that he carries himself and kind of it brings up the level in the room of everybody like kind of wants to you know kind of get up to his standards and not be like the disappointment on the mat type of thing. But yeah, I like his style of teaching, and yeah, it's been a good time.
And I'm not sure if you watched Karate Kid, but if you had a like with Upstate Karate, would it be more like Miyagi Do, or would it be more like Cobra Kai?
I don't know. We've done some wax on, wax off stuff, but also done a little more of the rough style of training, but somewhere in the middle probably, which is how it should be, I think.
Do you think we'll see Chase Hooper at Upstate Karate for like a future fight camp, or do you think you might return later this year for training?
Yeah, I'd like to keep training down here. My thing is I don't want to just make it like a one-time thing, especially because of uh, how good of a time I'm having and how much I'm learning from these guys. So I don't want to just make it a one-time thing and try to, work from there. I'd like to keep coming back, for another week or two and just kind of keep building on the stuff that I'm already building with these guys, and yeah, just get the different looks and stuff. So you got a great team of guys out here, and it's a different style than I'm used to. So it's a good look for any upcoming fights.
hmm And I saw somebody on Twitter ask you like about possibly going to Tiger Muay Thai. Can you? I already read the tweets about what. Can you like explain your decision to go to Upstate Karate rather than Tiger Muay Thai or any other gym?
Yeah. So the thing about Thailand right now as a whole is that super like closed off still. So I would have essentially had to, if I were to try to go train in Thailand, go by myself for 2 weeks and quarantine in like, one of the government hotels or whatever before I'd even be allowed out. I'm not sure if I'd have to quarantine when I got back either, but yeah, it'd be 2 weeks before I was even able to train. So of just sitting there, not, doing anything and just kind of, burning all the cash that I spent to, get there in the first place. Um, but yeah, like pretty much this whole trip, like the flight and the hotel and everything coming out here is, less than it would be just for a ticket to Thailand. So it made a lot more sense. And, obviously having some guys that speak English and can kind of convey it to me a little easier is going to be good at first. And, yeah, it's been good.
And from one journalist to another, congratulations on your UFC Fight Pass Journalist of the Year. What is your acceptance speech for that award?
I kind of just apologized to the other journalists for UFC Fight Pass, even though he was the one that wrote me in for the award. So, yeah, out of the 2 UFC Fight Pass journalists, the one that wrote the article said I was number 1. So
Awesome. And with you went viral with the Jorge Masvidal, Ben Askren question at I think UFC 246. What inspired you? What inspired you to approach him and ask him that question?
I was doing some stuff with UFC Fight Pass, and they were like, "Hey, we're gonna have you do like some of the interviews and stuff for the media day or whatever." And I was like, "Sure." I mean, I just did it, like a month ago, probably for my debut. So it was cool to kind of just get right on the other side of it right after. And then they were like, "Oh, hey, Masvidal's gonna be here, so we might do something with that, but we'll see." And then it just kind of ended up like we just had this little short amount of time. Like we weren't able to like say anything to him. Like it was a super candid moment because he just got done doing like a press conference of his own, and we got him like right as he was coming down the stairs and just asked him, and it yeah, it worked out. Got the one take.
Gotcha. And when you first got into combat sports, like with jiu-jitsu, then MMA, like did you ever like maybe were you ever considering a career like on the sidelines, as a journalist or like a media member? Like did you ever consider maybe going that route?
No, not really. I just kind of I'm just kind of doing it all for fun, I'm having a good time with it. But my thing is just try to make myself as valuable and like useful to the company as I can, just because it's like it's getting to the point where it's not just about how you win or like how good you are at fighting. You need something like kind of on top of that, just to kind of keep people interested and to keep you kind of moving forward with the whole entertainment aspect of things. And I think that's kind of what I'm trying to do with that side of it.
Gotcha. And with the Journalist of the Year award, and then you were considered for a Sub of the Year too, Submission of the Year, and Comeback of the Year with that awesome win over Pete Barrett. But looking at the other submissions of the year, do you think Habib earned it, or do you think it should have went to somebody else for the Submission of the Year?
I think the way that UFC does it is they kind of give a lot of respect to the people based on where they're at. Like someone like Khabib, who is, the number 1 guy, undefeated in his last fight. They just kind of tended to give it to more the veteran guy like that than someone like, I think Mackenzie Dern might have been on there and a couple other people. But, yeah, that was still a pretty slick sub. But I don't know if it was like, it really depends how you define, like, what's the submission of the year. Is it the coolest one, or is it, like, the most impactful? Because I feel like he would more fall into the second category just because it was his last fight against Gaethje, and he was able to show something like, some more jiu-jitsu off of his back, like not such a offensive wrestler-ish like he's used to. It was like a little change-up, and it was, just kind of shocking how quick he did it.
And
Yeah.
you know, like I think Bellator had AJ McKee. You know, he pulled off the McKeeltine, and I think Lipsky had that awesome knee bar. What was your personal favorite from last year?
Let's see. I think I remember it was Jimmy Flick did one like right at the end, like a week or two before me. That was pretty slick. Um,
Oh, the Flying Triangle, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I always like flying stuff like that. It's always fun to watch.
Gotcha. And I believe your last two fights have been at the UFC Apex, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, last year been at the Apex.
Gotcha. Like, are you kind of disappointed that you haven't gone to Fire Island yet?
No, it's kind of I don't know, like all the other stuff is cool, but not the, like 14 or 16 hour time difference, whatever it is from the West Coast. So I'm pretty happy with that. And then on top of that, the flight out there. Um, so I'm pretty content with just, a quick 2 or 3 hour flight to Vegas, still in the same time zone, quick in and out. I can be back home on Sunday and just kind of hanging out rather than going through the whole
Hmm.
ordeal where it's like a week and a half with all the Fight Island stuff. It seems cool, but it's just, the convenience is definitely a bigger factor for me.
For sure. And we witnessed UFC 257 last weekend. We had the same picks. I believe you picked McGregor and then Chandler by knockout, which, that did happen. Uh, what was your reaction to the main event and co-main event?
Yeah, I was real surprised with how I thought Chandler would be a little more wrestling heavy with his
Oh, yeah, me,
uh,
same here.
yeah, with his game, but he did a fantastic job of getting inside on Hooker, who's usually really good at keeping him out. But I think he's just a little gun shy. He was scared of the takedowns. But yeah, that was a great fight. It was a great introduction for him into the UFC. Um, and yeah, the Conor Poirier fight was, crazy to watch. I wanted Poirier to win, but I had a feeling that Conor was so heavy on, so heavy set on this fight that he, kind of knew something or was a little more, I don't know, like he definitely thought he had it in the bag, and I thought that as well, just because of his confidence. It's so infectious. When he's confident to win, it kind of follows with everybody else. But yeah, I'm happy seeing Poirier with the win, and I was really surprised that it was a knockout. I thought if Poirier would win, it would be either a decision or maybe a submission, because that's kind of Poirier's stronger side and Conor's weaker side is the grappling. But yeah, fantastic card overall though.
Hmm. And I think somebody's asking on here, who's your favorite? Like, who gives you the most difficult challenge, like on the grounds, like during training, like on the mat?
Uh, it depends. I think most difficult ever has been Ryan Hall, obviously, just because he's that guy. Um,
Hmm.
I felt like I could kind of follow what he was doing with most of the stuff. Um, but just with his leg lock game, it's so crazy, and it's super advanced that it's just you feel like you're 4 or 5 or 6 steps behind, and just out of nowhere he pulls something out, and you're like, oh, all right. Um, but he's just he's been high level for so long, even in the jiu-jitsu community before he did MMA. Um, and he's used to training with high level dudes all the time. He always has these crazy guys out there, whether they're jiu-jitsu or they're MMA fighters. So yeah, he's just been able to build up his knowledge, but he's definitely the hardest guy to train with,
Hmm.
he gave me the hardest time.
Yeah, I mean, I bet because with the Ultimate Fighter, he pulled off like two, I think heel hooks like back to back. Did you watch him on the show, or like did you hear about him maybe earlier or later?
Yeah, I knew about him before, just from more the jiu-jitsu side of things, but I saw his finishes on The Ultimate Fighter.
Awesome, awesome. And like I know you went the Contender Series route, but like looking back then, had there been a opportunity to be on the Ultimate Fighter, like which would you prefer, going on the Contender Series or getting more screen time on the Ultimate Fighter?
I think for a lot of people, the Ultimate Fighter is a good route, but I think I think it ended up being like a lot of the Ben Askren stuff that I fell into, where he kind of just, adopted me in that sense and kind of gave me a lot of attention really early on. That really helped. But a lot of people coming in, the Ultimate Fighter is a great way to get them out there personality wise. Um, but I personally like the Contender just because it's quick. Like they say, it's a job interview. You got the one
Hmm.
fight. It's based on how well you perform. And same thing, you're able to go home on Sunday, be back, back in the real world, not in this, not stuck in this, house with all these other guys for the next, couple months or whatever it is. So I'm happy with the Contender series.
Hmm. And somebody's on here, I think it's Dana Corby. He's asking, "What's your dad gonna do against Jake in the boxing ring?" What's your response to that?
From what I heard, Ben Askren was like, "All right, hey, I'll do it," and then they just never heard anything back. So this is kind of how I assumed it was. It's kind of, I think Jake Paul's just kind of, and the brothers are like, just kind of on that YouTube level of things where they're used to just doing all this stuff for the content. Like they're not actually intending on doing it, but all of these like UFC athletes that aren't, um, they're not as like privy to it. They don't know about the YouTube side of things, so they're just assuming that it's real when it's not. Like they're just saying all this stuff for the attention and for the clicks and the articles and all that. Um, so I think it's pretty unlikely that any of this is going to happen at any point at all.
Hmm. And yeah, I have to ask about Sean O'Malley too. Like when the memes came up about you like looking like a Ben Askren, Sean O'Malley was like kind of thrown into the mix. Why do you think he didn't like embrace the role of being part of the Askren family?
I think he's just, I don't know, he's like a young rebellious teen. He thinks he's too cool for it, type of thing. No, I think he just kind of wants to do it, and like I think people really have an idea for what they want people to see them as, and he doesn't want to, have like a comedic side to things like that. He wants it to be like his own thing that he kind of comes up with and that his personality is about. Um, but when I met him, he was super cool and, pretty similar to myself. He's a pretty quiet guy, but he's just really good at the stand up, obviously, but he's good at the post fight stuff too.
Hmm. For sure. And marketing as well as that. With your nickname, the Teenage Dream, awesome nickname by the way. When you get like a little bit older, maybe into like 25, 26, do you think you're gonna have to change it up, or do you might still have it like when you're like 40, like the Teenage Dream?
Yeah, so we cut out the teenage part when I turned 20 just because it gets a little creepier from there. So it's kind of, you know, I felt legally obligated to take out the teenage part and just kind of, get a little mature with it. And
Hmm.
yeah, it's worked out so far.
Do you have like any running nominees for like maybe a nickname in the future, or like are you still working on that?
I don't know. I feel like the best nicknames are the ones that you don't come up with. So if somebody just starts calling me something else someday, then I'll go by that. But yeah, like I didn't come up with the first one and just kind of spiraled from there.
Yeah, it definitely stuck. And going towards your next fights, when are you looking to come back?
Uh, I don't know really. I'm trying to, just take all the knowledge I can while I'm training here with Wonderboy and his team and just kind of, work on the stand up stuff because at the end of the day, like the fights aren't getting any easier. They shouldn't be at
Hmm.
least. So each fight's going to be harder, if not the same amount of difficulty. So it's kind of just realizing that and then kind of setting my ego aside and realizing that I need to kind of tune this stuff up and then, just kind of make the investment time wise to be ready for these next fights and kind of just putting the time in, obviously, and trying to do the quality over quantity as far as the fights go. But I would really like to get more fights in this year and like be more active than last year, because I technically got 3 in the last 365 days or whatever for the last
Hmm.
year. But I don't know. I'd like to do about that, if not, 1 or 2 more. But we'll see.
Hmm. And with John Jones, I believe he broke the record for youngest UFC champion. Sorry, at 23. Are you looking to break that record, or like are you more focused about the longevity of your career? Like, you think you're going to take your time getting better instead of like chasing the dream of maybe being the youngest UFC champion?
Uh, yeah, I think I try to take it one fight at a time, because everything can change in a fight, in this business, and you never really know what's going to come next. But for me, it's all based on the longevity and just kind of trying to have a nice long career. But on top of that, trying to do it as, safely for my body as possible, because at the end of the day, you only have like, 10, 15 years of athletic, performance in you, but then you still have to live with, that same body afterwards. So I want to still be able to, live to the fullest type of thing. Like, I don't want to just get beat up and, have a ton of brain trauma and stuff. That's kind of not the goal.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think that's just kind of part of the stuff like this, like coming out here training with Wonderboy and just getting that knowledge, getting the tune-up stuff, and just kind of working on all these aspects so I can save, my body for even after I'm done fighting, which is still pretty far off, hopefully. Um, and then, yeah.
Hmm. I mean, with your jiu-jitsu level mixed in with the Thompson karate background, man, I mean, you're just made for greatness combining those two styles. So, really looking forward to seeing your next fight.
Thank you.
And I think that's all the questions I have. I just want to thank you again for the time. Is there anything that you wanted to say to the fans out there watching?
No, I'm good. Thanks for having me, and I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, Chase. Appreciate it.